Portable action.
Now I have the Pledge of Allegiance led by yours truly. Everybody please rise. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now go to public comments. This is the time when persons wishing to address the presiding governmental body regarding matters not on the agenda may be heard. Please submit a speaker card to the meeting clerk. That is Dana right there. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the governmental body's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. The governmental body shall not discuss or act relative to the general public comment. Just so you know, this is for things totally unrelated to what's occurring tonight, following agenda items. Are there any public comments?
Public comment cards, Mayor, thank you.
Closing public comments, moving on to public hearing. This item is a continued hearing from August 18, 2021. Staff and applicant made presentation. The public hearing was open, public comment was completed, and the hearing was closed. We will continue with council discussion and action at this time. Agenda item 2A is a continuation of the Norco Valley Square appeal hearing that was held by the City Council on August 18, 2021. As a reminder, the public hearing portion for this appeal has been closed, and no additional testimony or evidence will be allowed. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to complete the council deliberations and take final action on the appeal before us. During the appeal hearing on August 18th, the appellate made legal arguments regarding the Planning Commission's denial of the project and the council's ability to uphold that denial. Since then, we have retained special legal counsel to advise the city on California's housing laws and how they impact the actions the city council may take on this appeal hearing. At this time, I'd like to ask Erica Vega to come to the podium to provide a brief explanation of those laws and how they impact the actions the council may take on this project. Erica, welcome to Norco. Did you pay the fee coming in from Eastvale?
I didn't come from Eastvale today. Is this on?
I have no button.
Nope.
Mark?
Okay. Hopefully it's on and you all can hear me. I did not pay a fee. I took the freeway. It's conference. Okay, it sounds like I'm on hold. I don't really know what that's about, but I'll project if you can hear me. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for having me this evening. As was stated by the Mayor, the city retained me to advise on the limitations the state of California has placed on the ability of the city to exert local control over housing projects, such as the Norco Valley Square project. Can you hear me?
Hang on one second.
Yeah.
We have to get rid of the music.
Yeah. This is playing like conference call hold line music. Okay. I'll just lean in.
Mark,
can you hear me now?
Give her a hand. Put that mic next to her so she doesn't have to bend over like Quasimodo.
I'm good. Can you all hear me now?
Yep, there
I'll
you go.
start over. So thank you again, Mayor and council members, for having me this evening. As the Mayor stated, I was retained to advise the city on the limitations the state of California has placed on the ability of the city to exert local control over housing projects such as the Norco Valley Square project. So in particular, the Housing Accountability Act severely restricts the ability of the city to disapprove a housing development project or condition it to be developed at a lower density than what is proposed, as long as that project is consistent with the city's otherwise applicable objective, general plan, zoning, and subdivision standards and criteria. The Act provides that those projects can only be disapproved or conditioned for lower density if a preponderance of the evidence before the City Council shows that the project will have a significant, quantifiable direct, and unavoidable impact that is based on an objective, identified, and written public health or safety standard, and that there is no feasible way to mitigate that impact. Severe restriction. Based off of my review of the record before the City Council, the proposed Norco Valley Square project is consistent with your generally applicable general plan, zoning, and subdivision standards, except for the height of the proposed hotel, which was proposed for a variance to increase it to 60 feet tall. As such, under the Act, the City Council can deny the requested variance without having to make that finding I recited. That's required by the Housing Accountability Act. Any other denial of any other aspect of this project would trigger the need to make that finding. Based off of my review of the record, it is my professional opinion that there is not sufficient evidence in the record to be able to make that finding for any other aspect of the project. But the Housing Accountability Act does not restrict your ability to add conditions of approval to the project, so long as those conditions don't directly or indirectly create a lowering of the density than what was being proposed by the applicant. So based off of the concerns that were raised by the council and the community at the August 18th hearing and previously, I worked with staff to draft some additional conditions of approval that the City Council may choose to consider and decide whether you would like to add those conditions of approval to the site plan for this project to better improve its compatibility with the surrounding area. And you all, I provided you a written copy of those conditions, but I will go ahead and read them now for the benefit of the audience. So there's 5 additional conditions of approval. The first would be the developer's obligation to dedicate parkland on site and or pay in lieu fees shall be calculated pursuant to Chapter 17.14 of the Norco Municipal Code, unless the developer and city agree to a different calculation as a part of the development agreement required by the Condition of Approval 84. The next condition is to be more compatible with the existing development in the area. The height of the recreation building in the multifamily residential portion of the project shall not exceed 35 feet. The third condition, to reduce the visual impacts on existing properties adjacent to the project. All building pad elevations shall be graded as low as possible while not impacting the functionality of the gravity sewer and the drainage systems for the site. Developer shall provide cross-sections of the proposed grading as part of the grading plan check process for the city engineer to review and approve. Fourth condition, to improve safety and reduce all visual impacts, reduce the visual impacts to the existing residences adjacent to the project. A 10-foot tall perimeter block wall shall be installed along the portions of the project site adjacent to all residential uses. And the final condition, to minimize potential construction impacts on the surrounding residences, the developer/construction contractor shall use the city's franchise waste hauler for the collection, transport, and disposal of solid waste, and timely and adequately address any complaints received regarding nuisance conditions stemming from construction debris or other solid waste on site. Those are the 5 additional conditions I've provided to the council for your consideration. And then one more thing I just want to mention for the council's consideration is the issue of CEQA compliance. The Housing Accountability Act does not relieve the city of its obligation to comply with CEQA when considering whether to approve a housing development project. So in my review of the EIR and the CEQA findings that are included in the agenda packet, I do not see any discussion of the environmental impacts of the proposed alternative project that increases the unit count from 320 to 395 and eliminates the hotel. So if the council prefers that version of the project, it's my opinion that to ensure compliance with CEQA, you would need additional information in the record to show that that alternative does not create new significant impacts or increase the severity of the existing identified impacts. The proposed CEQA findings that are attached to the resolution certifying the EIR would need to be revised to reflect the changed project description. They currently don't even address the 395 alternative. So this would require the appeal hearing to be continued again while that additional information is compiled and revisions are made, if that's the council's direction. That is all I have for you this evening, unless there's any questions for me.
Thank you, Ms. Vega. We've had several weeks to review the evidence before the council and have heard from our special legal counsel. Any questions for Eric? Okay. Greg?
I wanted to thank you for all your help in this matter. Just a housekeeping issue on these additional conditions of approval. How would you like us to incorporate those into, let's say, Resolution 2021-61?
Certainly. So if they're to be incorporated into that resolution approving the site plan, it would just verbally be made, and you can just make reference to the fact that the conditions that I read into the record. If you wanted to pick and choose amongst the conditions, then I could help you clarify that for the purposes of the record.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have anything further they would like to discuss about this project? Ted? Robin? Greg? I have nothing. If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-60 certifying the environmental impact report.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Bash?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-61 approving Site Plan 2020-06 for the mixed-use site with 320 residential units, adding all of the conditions of approval read by Ms. Vega to the conditions of approval for this project.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Bash?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-63 approving the conditional use permit 2020-05 for the hotel.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Bash?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
I have
You'll go back?
Yeah, the food court. I'm getting it. I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-62 approving the conditional use permit 2020-02 to allow a food garden and intermittent outdoor entertainment and recreational activities.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Bash?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-64 denying variance 2020-10 for an additional 10 feet of height to the hotel.
Do I- Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Bash?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
I move that the City Council adopt Resolution 2021-65 approving tentative parcel map 37939.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Grummeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Newton?
Yes.
Mayor Bash? Motion passes unanimous.
why, but I've lost. This concludes this hearing. We're adjourned.